Hey everyone, Magnus here, and in today's video I want to show you all the pros and cons of signing your music to a record label. A few days ago I made a video on how to get your music signed to a record label. You can check it out over here. But in this video I really want to go over all the pros and cons and if it's really worth it. So let's go over some of the pros first. To begin with, they will make sure your music gets heard, which will then give our music more listeners, more streams, more saves, more algorithm plays by Spotify, so that's obviously what we are looking for. Another way I look at it is that it's also about recognition. So let's say you signed 5 songs to 5 independent record labels. That means that they have all gone through the process of making sure your music sounds good, and is it worth it to them to invest in you, because at the end of the day they are a business and they need to make sure your music sells and people are going to listen to it so that they can make money. So if you have 5 releases with an independent record label, the next label that's going to check out your music and your stuff is going to be happy to see that you have already signed 5 songs. So in a way it's almost like having a degree in something. So let's say a college degree or something. Now you've got your degree, now you can go and apply for that job. And once you work for that job for 1 or 2 years, you can apply to the next job. So it's almost like having a good resume. And the last pros before we move on to the cons is that the feeling you get when you sign your music to a record label. Because the record label is basically saying, we really like your music, we'd like to promote it, and we believe listeners will enjoy it. And to me, that gives me great motivation to keep going and to make more music or even better music. See if a bigger label will sign me now. See if an even bigger label after that will sign my music. So it's also about that for me at least. Now let's move on to what might be considered cons of signing your music to a record label. To begin with, the record label is going to want the majority of the pie, of the income from the song. Now let's keep in mind we are talking about independent record labels. I'm not talking about Sony, Universal, Atlantic or anything like that. So a normal record deal with an independent label might be anywhere from like 50% and up to 80%. So the label is going to take anywhere from like 50 to 80%. Now the most regular deal that I have seen in my experience is 70-30. So the artists get 30% and the label gets 70%. Now if you are splitting your track with like 3 different people, so let's say you are 3 with the 30%, it's gonna end up only being 10% from you. So you are not going to make a lot of money from the track that way unless it has millions and millions of streams. Which brings me to the next point. So the record label is going to own your master. They're going to own your song. So let's say you release the song now and in 10 years they are not doing anything with it. It's not getting any momentum. No one is listening to it anymore. You still don't own your song. So how much is that worth it to you to own your song? Now, I've gone back and forth on this many times. In most scenarios, I would love to own my song, but in other scenarios, I just know that the record label is going to get the song much further than I ever would. Depends on how much I would put into marketing though, but at the end of the day, most of the time, I'd rather the record label just takes the master and makes the most of it. Another thing that I want to mention is that when you sign your song to a record label, they totally own that song and they can do whatever they want with it. So what that means is, for example, I signed one of my tracks to a record label. I got very excited about it because they're fairly big, but they didn't push it as much as I thought they would. They kept it in some of their minor playlists. Don't get me wrong, the song still got a good push, but it didn't get as much as I wanted, and there was pretty much nothing I could do about it, because they decided this is the route we're going to take your track, and that's it. Record labels are at the end of the day a business, and you are a source of income for that business. I want to say in a lot of cases, don't get me wrong, not in all cases obviously, but in a lot of cases I think record labels don't care much about you. You are just another number to them. You're just another artist somewhere in the world. They release your music and that's it. So that's one of the things I dislike with signing with a record label. It's not very personal. It's just give me your song, we'll push it out, make some money off it, and that's it. And the last cons of the day, and the one that I find really shady in some of these record label deals, is what these labels call promotional cost. Promotional cost is basically they are paying someone to create your artwork, social media content, promoting their playlists. So they are promoting their playlist and it's going to come out of your pocket. So let's say the promotional cost for your song is $500. Before you see any money, any income from your song, you need to pay them $500. So let's say your song gets 1 million streams. The label is supposed to get, let's say, $2,000. You're supposed to get $500. You're not getting your $500. It's going up to promotional cost. So you need to make $500 from that track before you ever see any income from the track. And I've seen promotional budgets from 200 and all the way to 2,000. Now the reason why labels do this is because they're going to play your song, they're going to get it as many streams as possible until they hit the promotional cost, and then they're going to take it off. So very shady by some of these labels. They're just going to run it until they make as much money as possible and promotional cost, and you're going to end up getting nothing. So that's something to really consider. Look for the promotional cost in the contracts. Try not to get scammed. And then you have to consider, is it worth it just to release the song, get all the streams and all the plays and not get paid? Is it worth it? I don't know. That will be up to you. Anyway, I hope you got some good insights from the pros and cons of releasing with a record label. I want to mention that I'm overall really happy with the results that I've had with the record labels that I've released with. I think still going the record label way is going to be more successful than releasing by yourself. There's a lot of things to look into when you're releasing yourself. I've tried that also. I've had some success and some not so good success. I would really appreciate it if you showed this video some love. Subscribe to my channel. Until next time, peace out.